The notchless iPhone is real and launching very soon, alongside new AirPods Pro, a bunch of new Macs, and maybe the folding iPhone and a circular Apple Watch as well. 2022 is going to be a big year for Apple. We're getting an all-new redesigned iPhone 14, lots of new Macs, AirPods Pro, iPads. It's gonna be a very busy year, and it's sort of hard to keep track of everything Apple is expected to launch. But in this video, let me just sort of break down all the biggest announcements, all the biggest products, all the new features, everything we're expecting to see from Apple next year in 2022, and also talk about a lot of Apple's secret projects that are finally going to become reality. And a big thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. So let's kick things off with what undoubtedly will be one of the stars of the year and will really sort of steal a lot of the spotlight from Apple in 2022. And that, of course, is going to be the iPhone 14. That is because, from all accounts, from leaks and rumors and analysts, this is gonna be one of the biggest upgrades the iPhone has ever gotten. The iPhone 14 is gonna usher in a new design. It's going to get rid of the notch, give us a totally upgraded camera system, and a whole lot more. And if the design of the iPhone 14 in these rumors sort of looks familiar, that's because it is. It seems like Apple is sort of giving us an iPhone 4 design in 2022, harkening back to the original design back in 2010 with those boxy corners, those squared off edges, round volume buttons, the sort of speaker grill mesh on the bottom of the phone. This is sort of the iPhone 4 design reincarnated in 2022, and I, for one, am all for it. I think it looks just fantastic. And of course, one of the most noticeable changes here on the iPhone 14, besides just the redesign, is the screen, specifically with the camera on the top. That's because there's a hole punch camera cutout on presumably the iPhone 14 Pro Max and not a notch. That's because, according to the info we know right now, Apple is going to remove the notch on the iPhone 14. At least some models of the iPhone 14, presumably the Pro and Pro Max or Pro Max, will not have a notch on top. Apple is moving a lot of the Face ID components under the display. They're getting rid of the notch, and instead of having that notch on your phone, you'll just have a small little hole punch camera cutout to use for your selfie camera, and that's all you're gonna see, which, if that is the case, is going to look really, really good. Another significant change coming to the iPhone 14 lineup is the removal of the mini iPhone. So we had the 12 mini, the 13 mini, which by all accounts were not smashing successes, and there will not be, because of that, an iPhone 14 mini. There's not going to be a small 5.4-inch iPhone 14 mini. Apple is axing the mini lineup, and there will no longer be that smaller option. Instead, there will be 4 iPhone models, but it's gonna look a little something like this. There's going to be a 6.1-inch iPhone 14, a 6.1-inch iPhone 14 Pro, a 6.7-inch iPhone 14 Pro Max, and then a 6.7-inch iPhone 14 Max, which I actually think makes a whole lot of sense. Think about the people in your lives that want a large screen iPhone, but they don't need the pro-end features. They don't need the ProMotion display. They don't need the extra camera. The iPhone 14 Max, I think, will probably sell like hotcakes. This just seems like a really good decision by Apple, and I, for one, I'm all in. Of course, there are lots of other big upgrades coming to the iPhone 14 as well. We should see new colors, maybe some new materials on the outside, a 16 bionic processor, 48 megapixel main camera, maybe a new telephoto lens system. There is a whole lot to get excited about with the iPhone 14 coming in the fall. We're still a little ways away, obviously, but I would temper your expectations, but also get excited because the iPhone 14 looks almost like the ultimate iPhone upgrade. Moving on from iPhone to iPad, the story is a little different here, and maybe that's a good thing. Back in 2018, when Apple totally redesigned the iPad Pro lineup, they sort of put a high benchmark for them to meet every single year, and the iPad Pro since then has been a really great tablet, and the design hasn't really aged poorly at all. It still looks super sleek, super modern. Apple has made sort of incremental changes year after year, and that's what we're also expecting to see in 2022. No huge upgrades to screen technology. OLED is still probably another year off in 2023. No big changes to the form factor. Some much smaller upgrades are expected to come to the iPad Pro lineup this year, namely a new and improved processor inside, probably the M1 Pro or maybe the M2, replacing the M1. And there has also been some rumors that Apple could sort of bring mini LED down the line from just being exclusive on the 12.9-inch iPad Pro down to the 11-inch. That would be really nice to see. And we've also heard some rumors that Apple could add, of all things, wireless charging to the iPad Pro, replacing the back right now with a glass back, so wireless charging would be supported. Again, information is a little sparse. We're still a ways away from what we could see with the iPad Pros in 2022, but as of right now, from what we know from the rumor mill, no huge changes are expected with the iPad Pro, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Same also kind of for the other iPads in the lineup. We just got the base iPad upgraded. Obviously, the iPad mini got quite a big refresh, and the iPad Air is still looking really good going into 2022, so I wouldn't expect any major changes to the iPad lineup in 2022 unless things change in the rumor mill. It's going to be sort of a more quiet year for the iPad, which again, is not at all necessarily a bad thing. Next up, let's talk about one of my favorite Apple products of all time, and that is the Apple Watch. I've been wearing the Apple Watch on my wrist for years. I love its functionality. I know some people hate it, some people love it, but call me crazy, that's okay. But I, for one, not only love the Apple Watch, but I believe in the conspiracy theory that something happened late into the game with the Series 7 that caused some kind of massive production issue, that we were supposed to get a bigger redesign, probably the flat-edged sort of boxy look we got with the rumors and the renders and the leaks, but for one reason or another, it didn't happen. In fact, if you want sort of the full story, my take on this and why I believe this is true, check out the Apple Circle podcast, link down below. An excellent podcast breaking down all the Apple news of the week with Matt Gonzalez. I think it's a great podcast. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I think it's great. But suffice it to say, I think that there is definitely something weird with the Apple Watch. Something was weird with the Series 7 this year, and I think that the Series 8 is sort of in an odd position, and things next year are either going to go one of two ways. On one hand, I think that Apple could have ironed out the kinks in the production process and finally give us this massive redesign we thought was coming with the Series 7 next year with the Series 8. So sort of the industrial look of the Apple Watch, the flat edges, the squared off corners, that is going to become the real design, and we will see that next year with a massive refresh in 2022. While the other theory is that Apple is going to stick with that same design with the Series 7, maybe that was the design that was planned from the get-go, and they will instead introduce a lot of health features into the Apple Watch. Maybe this will be the year for the unobtrusive blood glucose monitor. Maybe there's other health sensors Apple could build into the Apple Watch to make it more fitness-oriented and more health-oriented and really focus on your health and well-being. Also, some new information from display analyst Ross Young suggests that we could see 3 different screen sizes on the Apple Watch Series 8 next year. So maybe they're going to make a smaller size or a larger size or somewhere in the middle, or maybe this points to the release of the rumored rugged edition of the Apple Watch that we had seen rumors about 6 or so months ago. Maybe it would have a more protective housing or a more protective casing around it, and maybe it's sort of a different screen size that sort of lays somewhere in between the current lineup, but be on the lookout for a 3rd screen size option coming with the Series 8 in 2022. Can't wait to see what that one is. Now, before we continue with more about new iPhones, new Macs, and other exciting Apple products launching in 2022, let me take a quick break and talk to you guys about something I'm also super excited about that you can take advantage of and play right now. That, of course, is a super exciting, super fun, super immersive app that is also this video's sponsor, and that is Raid Shadow Legends. If you are a fan of action, adventure, amazing visuals inside of a game that is all about strategy and the battle of good versus evil, then you are definitely going to need to download and start playing Raid Shadow Legends right now. Personally, there are just so many things I love about Raid Shadow Legends, and right off the bat, the game just looks downright beautiful, especially on the iPhone 13 Pro's OLED display. And also, the game is just super fun. It takes some critical thinking, some strategy, and a little pro tip here: if you want to level up your champion in the fastest way possible, best way to do that is by farming the campaign. You can grind XP and get loads of silver, and even a few artifacts at the same time. I am also a huge fan of the Doom Tower. This is basically a giant prison that holds some of the most horrible monsters that were defeated and captured by the Arbiter. Unfortunately, though, the Doom Tower isn't holding together like it used to, but you and I can go in there, we can do some fighting, and we can show those monsters who's really in charge. There's also just a ton of stuff happening in Raid this month. They've got special events every day, they've got a collection of some really awesome champions, and also the big update coming is the Guardian Ring. It's an entirely new way to upgrade your favorite champions, get legendary champions, a whole new faction Guardian system, plus a whole lot more. If you want to get a head start in Raid right now, click the link down below in the description or scan the QR code on screen, and you're going to get some special stuff by going through our special link. You'll get an epic hero Chinoru who is amazing in Doom Tower. power, 200,000 silver, 1 XP boost, 1 energy refill, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon an awesome champion as soon as you get in the game. All of your rewards will be waiting for you right here in the inbox and only available for the next 30 days and for new players only. So what are you waiting for? It is so simple and so easy to start playing Raid Shadow Legends right now. So get started today by clicking the link down below in the description or scanning the QR code on screen. Get access to all those special items through our special link and start playing Raid Shadow Legends right now. I will see ya in the game. Another product I am very much looking forward to in 2022 will be AirPods Pro 2. Believe it or not, it has been now over 2 years since the original AirPods Pro debuted back in 2019. Can you believe it? Man, does time fly. And we finally should be seeing an upgrade to AirPods Pro 2 sometime in 2022. As of right now, it doesn't look like the design is going to change all that much, though information is very sparse. We'd heard some rumors that Apple is going to add some additional health sensors into the AirPods Pro 2 so it would capture more metrics and more data while you worked out. And we'd also seen some alleged leaked photos of the AirPods Pro 2 carrying case that has a built-in sort of strap or a built-in sort of mount for a lanyard or a strap or some way to permanently attach it to your keys or backpack, and also built-in speakers that would presumably be used by the Find My network. So if you couldn't find your AirPods Pro carrying case and you needed to ping it from the Find My network instead of sort of not doing anything, now it would play a sound and you would hear an audible chime and hopefully a loud chime from the case itself. So you could actually find your AirPods Pro. But in addition to iPhone, iPads, Apple Watch, AirPods Pro, all that stuff, 2022 is also expected to be a big year for Macs and Apple Silicon. We are expecting to see hopefully the next generation of Apple Silicon, probably the M2, maybe some Pro variants in there as well, and lots of new Macs should be released before the end of next year. Of course, a new redesigned MacBook Air is in the works that could be launching as early as the spring of 2022. This is going to have new colors, sort of a white color around the display. The notch, of course, is there. MagSafe from the MacBook Pro. It's a great looking, super sleek, super modern looking MacBook Air that's redesigned for 2022. It should be powered by the M2 processor inside. We could also see some new colorful Mac Minis make their way onto the scene as well. A new redesigned Apple Silicon powered Mac Pro at the end of 2022 probably. That should be an absolute powerhouse and an absolute beast. And the long-awaited and long-rumored iMac Pro is expected to be real and launch sometime in 2022. According to recent reports from leakers and analysts, this will probably be a 27-inch display that is a mini LED display that also has ProMotion technology built in as well. It should be powered presumably by some higher-end chips, maybe the M1 Pro and M1 Max variants. It should have the same or a very similar port selection to the new MacBook Pro, so lots of great ports to choose from, and should be by all accounts an absolute beast. It's going to be a great year for the Mac in 2022. It's going to be a great follow-up to 2021, and I cannot wait to see what Apple has in the pipeline for the Mac next year. All right, so all of that is cool and all, but that's also sort of to be expected. We expect to see new iPhones, new iPads, new Macs, Apple Watches, all that stuff comes every single year. But what about the stuff we're not expecting to see? What about those secret projects and those secret products Apple teams are working on behind the scenes in that spaceship? When could we see those? And what's sort of a status update on the Apple Car and the folding iPhone? When is all that stuff finally going to get released? And what are we actually going to see next year in 2022? Well, let me give you sort of the bad news first. We know Apple is working on an 8-inch folding iPhone with a rumored QHD Plus display. It's going to be the answer to the Z Flip and the Z Fold, and basically Apple's solution to the folding phone craze, but it is not expected to be launched in 2022, probably more like 2023 at the earliest. We know that this is in sort of some stage of development. It's been in sort of various stages for a while now. Apple is not expected to sort of start mass production of it in 2022, maybe at the end of the year, but as of right now, we know Apple is still testing this, but it is not definitively going to happen soon or even at all. So I would temper your expectations on this and not expect to see this until 2023 at the earliest. I'm sorry, no folding iPhone is coming in 2022, but hey, the iPhone 14 by all accounts again is still going to be quite a significant upgrade. Shifting gears a bit to the Apple Car, that story is not much better either. It has been a very bumpy road for the Apple Car project, pun intended there, and it doesn't look like that is near production or near release at all. We had always assumed that this was sort of a couple years down the road and this was going to be sort of something that was going to take a while, but it seems like Apple keeps hitting setback after setback, leadership changes on the team, supply issues, partner issues. It seems like the Apple Car is hitting a lot of roadblocks and might not be launching sooner but rather later. Man, these car puns are just too much fun to throw in here. Basically, the Apple Car is still having some issues, and we might not be seeing that for a couple of years, if ever, so don't expect an Apple Car to be pulling into your driveway anytime soon. That's still at least a few years out at the earliest. But it is not all bad news here. Apple is still expected to release some stuff that we haven't seen before, and that is going to be their first sort of attempt at a mass market AR product. Now, to make a clear distinction here, Apple is supposedly working on two projects. There's the mixed reality headset, and then the more defined Apple glasses that are the more sleek and stylish approach to mixed reality AR in your life. The glasses are in the works, but still are not expected to come in the next few years. But the mixed reality headset should be launching sometime, fingers crossed, in 2022. This is the more expensive, sort of more niche product that gives you sort of an idea of what Apple is working on in the AR space. It's going to be sort of very immersive, have a bunch of different high-resolution displays and sensors and cameras and microphones. So hopefully sometime in 2022, we see an announcement and hopefully a release of Apple's mixed reality headset that will be sort of their biggest, one more thing, their newest project in a while. And I think that about does it. That is sort of Apple's master plan for 2022. We've got new Macs coming, new Apple Silicon, we've got new iPhone upgrades, iPad, Apple Watch, AirPods Pro, and I'm sure I'm missing some things. I'm sure some other things will be sprinkled in there as well, but it is going to be a very busy year for Apple, but also should be a really great year for Apple. They're fixing a lot of their issues. They're sort of bringing back ports, bringing back colors, bringing us a lot of really cool technology, and should be giving us quite a few pretty significant and substantial upgrades. So what are your thoughts on all this? What is the Apple product you are most looking forward to in 2022? What are you saving your money for now? Is it the iPhone 14? Is it the redesigned MacBook Air? Is it the all-new Mac Pro or something else? Let me know in the comments down below what you are most excited to see from Apple in 2022, and we can all share in our excitement together. As always, thank you guys so much for watching the Apple Circle. I really appreciate it. I'm Robert Rosenfeld. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I will see you all in the next one.